Hello, everybody. Welcome to King Shit Talk. I am your host, Salid. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this beautiful Thursday in October. I swear this year seems like it's going by super fast, but I'm extremely excited. And I may not sound that excited because I want to stay in like the zone of what the show is going to be about. And if you listen to last week's show, you heard that for the month of October, I'm planning on bringing some unsolved cases to the forefront. And anyone that knows me knows that I love crime shows. I love Law and Order, uh, First 48, CSI shows. I love stuff like that. I love anything where I can use my brain to investigate and try to figure out what's going on in certain situations before, it may actually play out on the show. So the purpose of me doing that now though for this month is I know there's a lot of unanswered questions that people may have, families, law enforcement, anyone that knows these stories and things like that. And there's so much that goes into finding out what really happened when it comes to certain cases. Now, do I think that these that we will be discussing every week for the month of October will actually solve the cases? I don't know. I mean, it would be pretty cool if that was the outcome, but above all else, I'm hoping and I'm thinking that it will at least make some people think. It'll make some people do some digging and researching themselves. And if you find out anything that I may have overlooked or anything that I haven't found out, definitely please contact me so we can see how we can get this ball rolling. Now, tonight, there's a case that I found, and excuse me, I'm a little disappointed with this particular case only because I was very excited when I found it because I'm thinking, okay, I'll get all this stuff going, all of this information is going to come because I figured it was going to be just like I see on TV. But I found out very quickly that that's not how things work. I did a lot of digging and I hit a wall, but I'm going to share with you guys what I did find out. And if you, think up some stuff, or if you're at home and you have your laptops or your phones open, you can try to find some information as well. But I'm gonna read a couple of things to you that surprised me when I was doing my research, and it let me know that okay, this is not something that I'll just be able to do for 1 or 2 days. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into this stuff. Now, I found out that there are over 200,000 unsolved cold cases in the United States alone. Now that in itself tells you that there's either a lack of caring, which I would hope that's not it, a lack of evidence, a lack of resources, or something like that that would cause these cases to go unsolved. And a lot of times, as we know, sometimes it can be just people won't talk. They won't talk out of fear. There are a lot of street codes that go into some things. Sometimes people just want street justice, so they may not be willing to cooperate with law enforcement. Now, this case is on, and I was torn between whether I was going to give the full name of the people that I'm, researching because they are unsolved for one, and that stuff can be sensitive if, family or friends are listening or watching this and, it may bring up old memories and stuff like that. So I was kind of torn on whether I was going to give the full name or not. But then I thought too, if I'm asking for you guys to assist me in trying to do some of the stuff, then you need the most information that can be given. So With that being said, I'm not going to give the last names just yet, but this particular case was it happened in 1986 in Greenville, South Carolina on September the 8th. And there was a guy named Ernest, won't give the last name, and there was a guy named Oscar. Now, Ernest was 49 years old, Oscar was 54 years old, and they were found dead. They were murdered and they were in Ernest's home. Now, here are some of the facts that we do know about this particular case. There was they were found at 6:45 p.m. There was blunt force trauma to both men. They could tell that the injuries were caused by a blunt object. There was no forced entry, and the home didn't look burglarized. The neighbors that were talked to said they didn't hear anything out of the ordinary. Um, and it's been a cold case since 1986. Now, that information was useful a little bit, but when I started digging deeper, I noticed that I just kept being redirected here. Like, this is the only freaking information that I could find. And I did find the address of where the house was, but I'm not going to give that right now. But these are some of the things that I wanted to find. And I looked up obituaries. Um, I tried to find that kind of stuff. I couldn't get anything. Some of the sites said I could get it, but I would have had to pay for it, and I just didn't really want to do that because I know most times obituaries you can just, look in the local newspapers and stuff like that, and you can find that information out. But some of the things that I wanted to find out were if either of these men had siblings, if either of them were married, if they had close friends. Um, and this is the reason why I wanted that information. For me, if I would have found, and let me say this too, a lot of what I'll be talking about will be hypotheticals, ifs, speculations, and things like that, only because there was only so much information that was available to me. So I would like to know about the siblings for the simple fact that if I could have gotten that information, then that could have led me to talking to the siblings, finding out, what kind of habits these guys had, what kind of temperament they had, what the routines may have been. And I could have gotten that information as well from spouses, um, or even friends. And when you have that information, then you can ask the question of okay, well, what was this person's lifestyle like? If they were a partier, if they were to themselves, and you'll find out that each answer to these questions leads you down a whole nother path. Because if they were a partier, you could say, okay, well, possibly they were hanging out, having fun or something, and they could have met someone that particular night, could have possibly had alcohol, drugs, whatever the case may be, or been having a good time, and it could have turned into something else. And so then you have to go from that standpoint and say, okay, let's try to find out where they partied at. Let's see if anyone saw anyone with them that they didn't, you know, recognize or weren't familiar with, and where that person is. You get what I'm saying? There's so many ways that this could go. And then too, it's process of elimination. You can eliminate people as well with that information, because if they had family members and you find out, oh well, he didn't get along well with his brother, or him and his cousin were fighting all the time, then that's another lane you can go down. Okay, well, let me go talk to this person and see if they, when was the last time they talked to him? What was the relationship like? Or was it a friendly kind of interaction the last time you talked to him? and stuff like that. So there's so much that can be uncovered just with that little bit of information, just with finding out about siblings, friends, and spouses. And then it also helps you to understand what type of motives could have been had. Because I noticed that a lot of times when these things happen and they had a spouse, the first thing they're going to do is find out if there were any insurance policies, um, find out how their relationship was, if they, may have been going through divorce, or if they were separated, or if they had a great relationship, if one of them were sleeping with someone else. Motives can be so broad. And so that's why I was frustrated when I couldn't find that information out, because my brain was just rolling and there were so many questions that I had that I just couldn't get the answers to. And then you start thinking, okay, why can't I get the answers to that? Is there a cover up? Is there some people in high places that may have had a motive to do something like this? And when I think back to 1986, I was 10 years old in 1986. So I remember what the climate was um, in that area, or in Greenville at that time. So it's kind of shocking for a murder to happen, for two people to be murdered at that, and there be absolutely no leads. Nobody is found. And I started thinking, okay, well, in those times, it wasn't bad enough to where I would figure that this was just random. And I definitely didn't think it was random when they said that there was no, what was it? It didn't look burglarized. There was no forced entry. Anytime there's no forced entry and, you know, nothing looks out of place, it leads you to believe that whoever was there knew the people that was inside of the house. And it was Ernest's house. So either he knew the person that he let in, or what's the other guy? Oscar. Or Oscar knew him. So let's think about this for a second. If you invite somebody to your home, you know them somewhat. I mean, not too many people, especially in '86, were inviting total strangers to come. So if it was something to where there was a, let's just say, hypothetically, some guys sitting around having beers, and then something happened to where this mystery killer gets upset or decides, hey, I'm gonna rob these guys or rob one of them. And anybody that's ever been in any kind of situations knows, if there's only one guy and you have two other people there and you're thinking about doing something to one or both of them, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do something to the one that poses the greater threat. And by them saying that it was a blunt object that killed them, okay, well, did he pick up a lamp? Did he already have a weapon on him? Did he have a hammer? Did he have a billy club type thing? So there's so much that you can think about, and there's so much that it could be. And that's why evidence is so important. That's why casing and talking to people is so important, because you literally systematically have to break these things down. Um, and who, as far as you know, who typically kills someone violently without there being forced entry, without it looking like a robbery, without just messing the house up? It's probably someone that knows them. So somehow, you guys watching, because I've done as much as I can do with it. Somehow you guys are gonna have to tap into people, you might have some connections or something, and try to uncover some of this. So what I need is an obituary. The obituary will be very, very helpful, because I'm still shocked at why I couldn't find anything online, especially from 1986, because they were putting everything in the newspapers back then. So that shocked me. But I'd like to know what jobs these guys held. I'd like to know if any of the coworkers were talked to, if they had any issues at work, if they were depressed at all, if they had any habits that kind of put them in harm's way. And it doesn't always mean when something like this happens, it doesn't always mean that there was some foul play going on. But like I said, you have to do the process of elimination when you're trying to figure this stuff out. And random acts of violence do happen, but for the most part, when something goes on like what happened to these guys, it's normally something behind it. You normally can get to the root of why things are going on. And while you guys think about that, let me tell you, I want to thank everybody that's watching on Facebook. I want to thank everybody that's watching on YouTube. Thank everyone that's listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Um, this is definitely not, like I said before, the typical king shit talk that you guys are used to. I wanted to do this for the month of October for various reasons. As it was just on my heart to do it. I just felt like it. I hope because it's going to be a lot of masks and monsters and ghouls coming out this month. So I think it was real. It'd be real good for us to get into some of this stuff. Unfortunately, as I said, this particular cold case made me hit a brick wall because there's just very limited information that I could get. And you kind of only, you're only left to what you can think up when you don't have tangible things that you can look at. And I know I probably need to get some women to investigate this because you guys are definitely good at uh FBI type tactics. When y'all want to find something out, you find it out. So if there are any women watching, find out some information on Mr. Ernest. Oh, I guess I have to give you the last names now, or you won't know where to look. His name is Ernest Bolden, Bolden. Nickname was Chick, Chick, and the other gentleman's name was Oscar Rice. And these two gentlemen were murdered in 1986 in Greenville, South Carolina. 13 and a half Martin Street was the house that they were murdered in. And I saw pictures of the house and everything like that. And I believe I've seen that house before because I was born and raised in Greenville. I believe I've seen that house before, but I don't even remember. I have a good memory from about when I was 5 or 6 years old forward, and I don't remember hearing anything about that when it happened. I'm gonna have to ask my mom and dad about that though, because they would probably know more than me when it comes to this. 'Cause I don't even know if I was watching the news at 10 years old. But yeah, again, we'll go over a little bit of it again. They were found at 6:45 p.m. on September the 8th. Ernest was 49 years old and Oscar was 54 years old. They were not related. I did find that out. They were not related. So I have to assume that they were friends. And I'm not trying to be funny, but if they were friends in that age, I'm gonna guess they may have been drinking a 40, may have been watching TV or something, relaxing. I don't know. But they were attacked and killed that night, unfortunately. So I don't know where else we can go with that particular case. I've given you guys all that I have. I've told you the whys to wanting the information. to kind of dig deeper. Um, I've told you to where, I've told you what happened, but I can't really get into finding this culprit until I get some more information, and that's where I need you guys' help. And I'm hoping that you guys enjoy uh crime stuff as much as I do. Okay, let me see. Jamie says possible love triangle or something of the sorts. I didn't even think about that. Why didn't I think about that? See, that's good. And that's another reason why I wanted to talk to the family and friends and stuff like that because, ooh, yeah, that's real good. Let me see. Let me write that down, y'all, because that wasn't even talked about a lot back in those days. But, and mind you, let me say again, we're not saying that any of these things actually happen because we don't know. We only have so much information. So we don't want to be disrespectful, to the family or friends. But we're just trying to piece together all kinds of scenarios so that hopefully, these cases can be reopened. Maybe some things can be looked at, some I's can be dotted, and some T's can be crossed. But on the love triangle thing, if you had two guys that were lovers and possibly this mystery guy was with them both or with one, and there could have been a conversation, it could have been some uh hey, hey, I like this one more or anything, and things could have went bad. Boom shakalaka, I done cracked your skull. The other one, okay, you just witnessed it, so I can't let you just live or go on, so I got to boom shakalaka you too, and then I get on up out of there. It's possible. So, Jamie, that was good. It's very possible, especially when you have a situation where there's no forced entry and there's nothing, you know, messed up in the house or anything like that. Jamie said, or they took someone's lady to. Now, I was literally, this is no lie, y'all. I was trying my best to be extremely serious through these episodes in the month of October only because I wanted to somewhat be like the guy on Unsolved Mysteries when he used to talk and stuff. I wanted to give it a more detective like feel, but I'm gonna let y'all know. Now, those on Facebook can see what Jamie just wrote, but those on YouTube watching can't see it. But I'm gonna read what she wrote, and then I'm gonna put it on the screen. She said, or they took someone's lady to Pound Town. No disrespect. Lord have mercy. So, but even with that though, because hey, no, no answer is too crazy because it all can lead somewhere. So let's sit with that for a second. Let's say that this is possible and they took somebody's lady to Pound Town. Then I would think that there would be some kind of forced entry or the house would have been torn up. Because if one of the dudes took somebody's lady to Pound Town, and let's say her old man came in and he had an issue with it, I gotta take that down because it's too funny. But let's say he had an issue with it, right? And he's confronting the dude, like, yo, I heard you've been taking my woman to Pound Town, partner. I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't been taking your lady to Pound Town, sir. Or he could have got gangster with it and was just like, hey, you know how it goes. Your woman chose me or whatever. Okay, odds are the buddy is not gonna I would think, 'cause I got to think about how my homeboys would react. Odds are the buddy is not gonna be just sitting there, not saying anything. And back in 1986, people were quicker to say, "Oh no, man, hey, y'all calm down." Da da da. Da." They try to diffuse things, right? So if these two still going at it, and he like, "Yo, ain't don't nobody take my woman to Pound Town but me." Boom, 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 and they arguing. I would think that the friend, the second guy, is probably preparing to do something. Like if he's seeing that he can't break it up, then the next thing in his mind is, okay, well, if it goes down, I'm gonna have to whoppa loppa loompa on this dude. So if I think about it like that, I have to then quickly back out of that because if that was the case, I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10, if you confronting a dude about taking your woman to Pound Town, then it's gonna be some furniture moving. It is definitely gonna be some furniture moving. So it's not gonna be as well put together as it was when the police showed up. Cause ain't nobody cleaning up and doing all that. You know what I mean? And setting everything up back right after you done crack two people's skulls open for some Pound Town action. Adrian said if that's the case, no forced entry leans towards someone they knew. They were all hanging out and drinking, and the dude finds out, or the female is there, and they slip up and let it be known what's going on. Or both dudes are found with the lady, and the boyfriend, or however, does both of them. But yeah, those kind of things happen because women do party sometimes with multiple guys, and it could be innocent, but the man sees it and he may not think, it's so innocent. About like when Respucia saw Norbit with the other woman rehearsing for the wedding and stuff. I mean, it looked a certain way that it wasn't, but things like that happen all the time. Jamie said a cop wouldn't make a mess. What you mean, Jamie, if a cop wouldn't make a mess if the police were involved? But Adrian's theory could be possible as well. But even with that though, I'm telling you what throws that off for me. Or a pimp didn't get his money. Adrian said a pimp didn't get his money. Now, ooh, that's very interesting. I'm gonna come back to that. But what I was gonna say is the part that kind of throws it off for me is when they said there was no forced entry and said, let me see, the home didn't look burglarized. That part of it makes me think that there was not a fight, not too much of a struggle. Because two grown men, a 49-year-old and a 54-year-old, if somebody's trying to take their lives, I would think that it's that's not gonna be an easy thing to do unless it's multiple people or unless there's a weapon. Because I guess if you pull a strap on somebody, you can make them, sit still and do what you can like that. Kiki said, confront the person you in relationship with. The outside only gets in once invited in. That part, exactly. And I just think that they knew him. I think that whoever got in that house, they knew them. Jamie said, that's what I'm saying. A cop wouldn't want it to look like a struggle. Too much going on. They would open the door for a cop. Ooh, that's true. But in '86, because Jamie, you know how well you were younger than me though. But in '86, what could let's run with that theory for a second. If a cop, said, "Hey, open the door, it's the police," blah blah blah, and they let them in, because you're right, odds are they would let a police officer in. What reasons would a cop have to kill two grown men and then cover it up? I'm trying to think of what reasons a cop would have. What would the motive be? Kiki said, "Oh wow, I got to read this entire story. Thought we talking hypothetically. I'm lost here." No, Kiki, what happened is this month I'm gonna be finding unsolved cases. I've already looked up some unsolved cases, and I'm going to be trying to research and find evidence in these cases, find out what law enforcement knows about it, and we're going to be discussing them every every week. And what we're trying to do is either get these cases reopened, to hopefully try to get the families some closure, or we'll just use it as a platform for us to do some critical thinking. And there'll be a lot of hypotheticals, there'll be a lot of speculation and things like that, especially when we run out of uh, evidence or clues and things like that. Just so happens this first case that I brought to the table, it was very limited. And I'll go over it again for you and anybody else that wasn't here at the beginning. I'll quickly go over it and then I'll go to what Adrian said. Um, there was a guy named Ernest and a guy named Oscar. Ernest, 49 years old, Oscar was 54. In 1986, September the 8th, 1986, both of these men were found dead in Ernest's home. They had blunt force trauma to the head, and the injuries were caused by a blunt object. There was no forced entry, and the home did not look burglarized. The police talked to neighbors, and the neighbors said they heard nothing out of the ordinary. It was just typical, evening as far as they knew. And that is all of the information that was available. I searched and searched and searched. I called one of my buddies with the FBI. He couldn't find nothing. Um, I wrote Colombo an email. Colombo got back with me and said if I sent him some cigars, he'd look into it. I haven't done that yet. So that's where we are. So the reason I wanted to find all that information out is because I want to know, if they had any siblings, because I was looking for obituaries and stuff like that. I wanted to know if they had siblings. I wanted to know if they had spouses, close friends, uh, where they worked, things like that, so I could then talk to those people. But none of that information is available, which adds another kind of little spooky thing to it because if none of the information is available, then I have to ask myself why. Why is it not available? So hopefully that caught you up, Kiki, but that's what we're, discussing. Adrian said if they drunk and don't see it coming, were they found in the same room of the house? If not, one got taken out in one part of the house, the other in another room. Well, I did find that out too. They said that both of them were in the living room when they were found. Jamie said that's the question of the evening. Tail. Have you reached out to the families? No, I wish I could have, but that is actually why I was looking for the obituary because I wanted to see, if they had kids, if they had spouses, things like that. Because obituaries give a lot of information. They tell you who the friends are, families, things like that. Because if if they had spouses, as you know, normally the first thing that's asked is were there insurance policies and stuff because you're looking for a motive. That's how you want to solve murders specifically. You have to find out who had a motive to do, the murder. And I heard from all the things that I watch that typically when there's a murder, the person that's closest to you, either family or spouse, are always the first suspect. So they try to eliminate them first. Jamie said, we're either married or in a relationship. I wish I knew. I tried my best to find out. And you're right, it's very interesting. But these are the things that had my wheels spinning because I had at least 50 to 100 questions instantly. What piqued my interest about this particular story is where it happened at. I was born and raised in that area. So I was like, oh wow, and to see so many, because like I said, there are over 200,000 unsolved cases in the US alone. That's a whole lot of crimes going on that people just never find the answers to. Kiki said, "So were these guys close friends? Maybe one was just stopping by." I don't know. We're left to speculate because they found both of them in the house and both of them were killed the same way. So that leads me to believe that they were both there together before whoever did it actually did it. And with it being 6:45 in the evening, I'm gonna assume they had jobs, and most jobs, end about 4 or 5 o'clock. So if they there at 6:45, I'm like, okay, they were probably winding down. And in 1986, I just think they probably got some, cold ones and they just relaxing. But that's where it kind of stops in my brain with the what ifs because it's what happened after that. What happened after they were comfortable? What happened, you know, I wonder what was going on around 6:15 because if they were found at 6:45, did whoever find them just miss, the person that did it? Or I'd like to know who found them. Let me know who found them because depending on who found them, could they be a suspect? Did they really find them? Or were they involved in it somehow and then reported it to the police and said, I found them? That's why we need that doggone information. I got to have it. Somebody got to help. Jamie said, sorry to the families for the loss. And since I don't have a lot of info, if they were in a relationship together in those times, cops didn't care about gays. Not saying they were, I just don't know the facts. That is very true. And there was a lot, if I'm not mistaken, back in those days, there was a lot of homosexuals being assaulted and stuff. And a lot of times it went beyond assault. It was almost, well, not quite, but a lot of people have like put it close to when we used to get lynched and things like that. And those cases wouldn't get solved because you know why they wouldn't get solved. But I don't know. Michelle said it could have been a drug deal gone bad. Yeah, there were a lot of drugs going on in the 80s. That is possible. Maybe someone bought some smack and didn't pay and were supposed to pay. And hey, where's my money? Because if you know the dope man, you'll let him in, even if you owe him money, especially those dudes in the 80s. And let me say this again, we're not saying that this stuff actually happened. We're speculating here. We're trying to figure out, possibilities and stuff because maybe something that we're talking about might raise an eyebrow or might make someone remember something, and it could possibly open this case back up. But yeah, it could have definitely been that in the 80s. Jamie said, yes, they were targeted. It definitely sounds like that. It's definitely not, I don't think it's a random type thing. I just don't think it's random. With it being two grown men and with it being done the way it was done. Because normally, they say normally when people get killed and there was an object used, like if you beat somebody to death or you stab somebody to death, that's normally personal. There's normally a lot of emotion in that. Usually, when it's random, you might get someone that gets stabbed in the throat and then they get robbed and they ran off, or somebody gets shot. But to kill someone with a blunt object, that's very personal. Kiki said that's the twist. Who knew to inquire after the unfortunate happened? Yep. I don't know, y'all. This is a doggone. This is an elbow scraper right here. Because I mean, we could go on and on and on and on with the what ifs and all of that, but that dadgum limited info, it hurts us. Cause shoot, I go so doggone deep. I want to look at doggone what the weather was on that specific day and that specific year and everything. Cause see, if I know, let's say it was raining, then that's gonna take my mind, somewhere else. If it was sunny, or was it I guess I can find out what season it was though. Yeah, that's right, Jamie. Very limited info, which is suspect in itself. Yeah. Especially for those times in that area. That's very suspect. But there's gotta be some kind of way where I can find out more than what I have. I just have to figure it out. Or one of you guys have to figure it out. But I think especially with the resources that are had now, and I just started this last week, so it's been for a full week when I've been uh investigating and looking this stuff over. And this is all I have with a week's worth of work. Now, if someone has been on it, which I doubt, since 1986, then there should definitely be more than this. Yes, Jamie, they were black men. And in the 80s, we would party. I mean, we would have people um that we worked with that would get invited. Oh, let's grab a couple beers after work. Well, I wasn't working at 10 years old, but you know what I mean. In the 80s, guys worked hard all day. And then I have to see, I'm gonna find out or if any of you guys want to look it up right now. I wonder what day of the week that was. September the 8th, 1986. I wonder what day of the week that was. Because if it was on the weekend, then it could have possibly been, some hanging out and then something went wrong. So I don't know. I had to look that up. The one that I'm hoping the one that I do next week will have a bit more information than this case did, only so we can go a little deeper with the investigating and finding out. Yeah, dog, Adrian, get the investigating. But yeah, I think with more info, then I don't know if these things should be fun, but they are fun for me. But it's exciting to think that you can possibly help somebody out, because I wouldn't want to be in a position where something like this happens and nobody actually has any kind of information, because your mind starts wondering. Okay, it was Monday. It was oh shoot. Knowing it was a Monday kind of throws me off then. I mean, there are people that party on Mondays, and it's not really got to be a party if you get off work and have your couple beers. That's not a party. That's just relaxing. But Monday, the beginning of the week. Hmm. Knowing that it was on a Monday, what does that make you guys think of it? Does that um kind of open up some more doors to get your mind going, knowing it was on a Monday? Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Kiki. Cause I don't know if it opens more doors for me in my brain, knowing it was a Monday. It definitely would have if it would have been a Friday or a Saturday. But knowing it's a Monday, hmm, I don't know. I'm gonna need some help with that one. I'm still kind of stuck on the whole love triangle thing too, because there was a whole lot of doggone pound town and going on in the 80s with doggone men snatching up, other men's women and stuff. And them guys wasn't playing about they old lady. That woman cooked cabbage and doggone sausages at night when I done worked hard and stuff like that. And then you have the audacity to take her to Pound Town. Oh yeah, it was definitely some doggone tables gonna get turned over. But I don't even know if they were on a big scale. I don't even know if they were pimping and hoeing in the 80s in Greenville. I know they were doing it in a lot of places, but I don't know if Greenville had it going on like that. I don't know why my yeah, it could get a stressful day. Beginning of the week, yeah, but I don't that, and see, I don't know. This whole time I've been thinking that one person killed both of them. But and this is what I said earlier when I was like, "What would the other person be doing?" And okay, hold on. Hold on one second, y'all. I just gotta something came in from the FBI database. Ooh wee. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Michelle said being on a Monday, I'm thinking drug related or gambling related. There was definitely a lot of gambling going on in the 80s. A lot. But let me tell y'all what the doggone FBI database just kicked in to me. And you tell me what you guys think about this. Kiki said, were they in open relationships? I don't know, but we can we can visit that with this info. Now here it says this is household members names. Um Anthony Bolden, 45 years old, head. Okay, so when this was put out, I'm guessing Anthony was probably Ernest. That's what I'm gonna guess that was Ernest. So yeah, yeah. So that's his name, Anthony Bolden. So that's why I couldn't find out a lot of information because I was putting in Ernest, but that's what it said. When I looked it up initially, it said Ernest. Okay, his name was Anthony Bolden. Hold on, Jamie said, "Have we all seen the true story movie Monster?" Hmm, Monster was good. Okay, Anthony Bolden, Takora Bolden was his wife, so he was married. Robert Bolden was a son, W.D. Bolden, another son, Ernest Bolden Jr., another son, Hattie L. Bolden, daughter, Mary Bolden, daughter, Rosetta Bolden, daughter. Okay. Okay, y'all. So Ernest was not, so Ernest, his name was Ernest. Let me back up. It was Ernest. Anthony Bolden was Ernest's father. Okay. So what I'm looking at was even deeper than what I thought it was going to be. This is information from when Ernest was a teenager. So it's telling me about his siblings. So these are his siblings. These are not his children. So he had he had two brothers and three sisters. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Now I can take that information and try to contact or get in touch with some of his siblings. And then I can ask them, how he was and can go back to that day and time. And I'm not gonna say that they'll be open to giving me this information because a lot of times when things like this happen, they it's a sore spot for family members and stuff. And sometimes they don't want to rehash certain things. Jamie, it doesn't say anything about his kids. The information I got was him when he was a teenager, and it talks about his siblings. So we're still stuck as far as um the obituary type information with whether he had kids and things like that. But we are a step closer, well, further than we were, because originally I didn't even know if he had siblings or not. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to know because then you can get some insight on what type of man he was. And I want to know if his siblings even knew Oscar. Was Oscar a longtime friend? Was Oscar someone that he had just met recently? Was Oscar a coworker? Was Oscar a lover? Who knows? Who knows? But my buddy Columbo at the agency, thank you, thank you, thank you for that information. And this is why I wanted to do this. I was hoping that the interaction would cause someone to do some digging as well, and then that's something that we can add to the pot. That's information that gets to be added to the pot. So even though it may be a small step, that's a step closer to uncovering something. So that's great. I feel so freaking good right now because, hey, the case isn't solved. It's not solved. But I feel very good about having that extra information to add to it because this just opens up more doors for us that weren't open 15 minutes ago. Now, what I'll have to do is start looking up his siblings, seeing if they still live in, Greenville, trying to track them down, um, talking to them. I really want to talk to them to see if, you know, they had any conversations with him that day. Because, sometimes you'll tell your brother or your sister, hey, this person is bothering me, or I'm dealing with this, or, I have this thing going on over here. I'm talking to this lady or whatever. Or he could have, I'm talking to this man, whatever the case may be. Siblings normally talk to siblings. So if I could talk to them, shoot them a message, shoot them an email or something, that'll be great. And what I'll do is I won't continue this next week. I'll bring forth another case, but every time I get more information on this case, that'll be the first thing that I share with you guys before each show. I'll share, new developments from the previous show. Um, I think we're gonna put a pin in that right there because if I keep going tonight and try to contact these people or look up things about them, then this will turn into something that I didn't plan on it to be. Because y'all know my shows used to be 2, 3, 4 hours long. I'm gonna try to keep these unsolved cases to 60 minutes or less, just so they stay fresh, just so our juices keep flowing with them. But I thank all of you guys for tuning in. I thank you for the help. I thank Adrian. He's only been with the FBI for about 6 months now, but he's doing a doggone good job. I thank all of you guys for your participation. And if you, want to do some digging yourself and send me some info on this stuff, please feel free to do so. Because sometimes you guys investigative skills can be a lot better than mine. And that's evident by what happened tonight. But let me see what we got going. There'll be another unsolved case that I'll be bringing to the forefront next Thursday. I started a little early tonight. I'm gonna tell you guys, y'all gonna think this is funny, but this is why I started early tonight. I'm tired, and I thought I was gonna be ahead of the curve. So what I was going to do is pre-record the show, and I had it scheduled to air at 8:30. So I was like, okay, I'll pre-record it. I'll be done. I can get some stuff done that I need to get done, and I can be in the bed at a good hour, get me some sleep, right? When I hit start, for some reason, I guess it was supposed to happen, but it went to live stream. So I just rolled with it. Um, Miss Mosby, what case I was late? Okay, well, I'll run through it real quick. And it'll be easy to run through it quick because I didn't have a lot of information to begin with. But to catch you up to speed, what I'm going to be doing for the month of October, I'm gonna be bringing unsolved cases. There's going to be a new case every week. I'll do a week's worth of intel on it. And then when the show airs on Thursdays, I'll be discussing with you guys what I actually found out. And we will try together to either solve some of this stuff or get close to solving them or at least spark enough conversation to where these cases can be reopened, in hopes to give the families some closure, or if nothing else, to get our juices flowing and get us doing something kind of fun. And I know it sounds crazy to say solving cases is fun because you have to, sometimes they get very dark. some of the information you find out is very dark. But I love this kind of stuff, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. But basically, there were two guys in September of 1986 that were killed, and it was blunt force trauma. Um, there was no forced entry, and the home didn't look burglarized. That, that's the basis of it. Now, that's not a whole lot of information, but what it is it causes you to think of a lot of things like what could motives be and who could they possibly have been into it with, or if it was random, or if somebody was messing with somebody else's old lady and something went bad with a drug deal, or did a pimp want his money because they were messing with prostitutes and they didn't pay. There are so many things that it could be, but the more information that we have, we can kind of narrow some of those things down. And at the beginning of the show, I didn't know whether these guys had children, whether they were married, whether they had siblings, none of that stuff. But one of my um, FBI buddies, Adrian Tatum, sent me some information, and we found out while the show was going on that Ernest did have siblings. I think it was 2 brothers and 3 sisters. So what I'm gonna do in the coming week is and it happened on a Monday. And that was important information too, that they were killed on a Monday, because originally I was saying I wonder if it was on a weekend, was it a party type situation and they met somebody? But it happened on a Monday at the beginning of the week. So that made us think of some things as well. But in the coming week, while I'm researching this next case, I will also be trying to contact some of Ernest's siblings to try to find out what kind of man he was. Um, Try to find out what were some things that were going on in his life at the time, and then that'll open up some doors to where we can possibly try to figure out what could have happened to him. It's a shot in the dark, but it is a shot. So that's what we'll be doing next week. I'll have another unsolved case that I'll be bringing to the table. Good night, Jamie. That I'll be bringing to the table, and that'll be next Thursday at 8:30. This Saturday for Smooth Saturdays. I'm not sure if Kev and I are going to do anything. Now we've missed some Saturdays. We miss y'all. We have good times on Smooth Saturdays. But Kevin Evans, that's my co-host on Saturday nights. We may put something together for you guys this Saturday. If not, then you guys will see me next Thursday. Please, please, please tune in then. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share this with every single person that you know and even people that you don't know. Because we're trying to get these subscriptions up. The more people that watch when we have situations like this go on, that's the more eyes and ears to the streets, and we can find out more information and we can get more things done. The goal of King Shit Talk is to help men understand women better, help women understand men better, and to build a solid foundation for our youth so that they can be better people as they grow. That's the mission, that's the purpose, that's the goal. And I think we're doing a great job at it. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Thank you for being who you are. Enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe, be mindful, and do everything with a purpose. See you guys next Thursday.